Okay, Chapter 5 and planning. Okay, the big question here is how do you plan and how do you deal with uncertainty? Each individual has their own way of planning and how they deal with uncertainty. So do companies, and that is what planning is all about for a company. So, usually when we plan, we define our goals, we schedule, and we implement. And then, of course, you have to have goals, and if you have goals, then you have to plan. Even though you have goals, you may not plan, and if you don't plan, you may not be successful. So think of an example of how you plan to get to a goal, and we'll talk about that in class. So many of us don't plan. And there has to be a reason for that, because usually if you don't plan, we're not as successful as we'd like to be. First of all, planning requires time. And many times, all the planning in the world is for nothing because you have to make decisions on the fly anyway, so why bother? And also, it goes back to our nature or our personality. And as you did all of the assessments on the manager profile, some of you may have come across some preferences or some traits that would indicate planning was not your favorite thing to do. So let's look at how a business plans or how management would plan. They're pretty strategic, and it's called planning and strategic management. First, a mission and vision statement is established or developed. Then usually a grand strategy is developed, and from there they will develop strategic plans, and then tactical plans, and then operational plans. And we will really get into those more in the next chapter, but be aware that there are 3 levels. Actually, you've got 4 levels, because 5 levels. You come up with the mission statement and vision statement. You then create a grand strategy. You then formulate a strategic plan, a tactical plan, and an operational plan. And that's all before you even start implementing the strategic plan and controlling the strategy. So you can see it takes a lot of planning. There are benefits to this. Number 1 is if you do the above stages and keep up on it and maintain it, you're able to check your progress. You know if you're getting somewhere. You can coordinate activities much better. And since you've kind of relieved the chaos, you can think ahead because you're more level-headed, and it's easier to cope with uncertainty when things go wrong. So these are fairly well established in business, and you will greet them whenever you're a manager. There are 4 strategies that we've found that companies use to deal with uncertainty. And here's an example of all of them. First of all, you have defenders. And defenders pretty well find their niche and stay there. They don't go out of it. They don't find new ways of doing things, but they don't look for different methods of business. They don't branch out. An example would be Kmart. Kmart is the biggest retailer in the world. They are not going to branch out and start selling real estate at this time, although they are starting to work within the organization into more services rather than products. I believe they are doing something with taxes right now. They're providing actually a service that they will refund your tax refund and allow you to spend it in Walmart. So they are branching out somewhat, but they're fairly well stick close to a product and what they do well. You have prospectors, and they develop and seek new markets. An example would be Apple. They're always looking for a new product to design. You have analyzers, and they allow everybody else to take the risk and then imitate, and that's not such a bad strategy. Microsoft would be one of those. And then you have reactors, and this is probably the kind or the strategy that is most non-productive. And they only change when they're forced to. Think Kmart and Sears. They're very close to going belly up. Or even look at Radio Shack. Radio Shack is actually has gone belly up and is in bankruptcy now. So those are 4 strategies that they see companies using for uncertainty. And here's a question. The 4 benefits of planning according to the book now, what did I just talk about in the upper part of this lecture, are, and then select the 4 that are out of the book. So if we're going to be doing all this planning, we need the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are you develop a mission statement, you develop a vision statement, you do a strategic plan, you do a tactical plan, and then you do an operational plan. The mission statement and vision statement will be used to develop the strategic plan. The strategic plan is used for tactical planning, and the tactical planning is used for the operational planning to carry out the strategic plan. And who does this? Okay, top management usually will do the first 3 here, and middle management will do the tactical. And usually tactical planning is looking at the resources that they have, the company hands, and assigning the tasks. And who will do what department. And finally, you have operational planning, which is done by your first line managers. This is the nitty-gritty. This is getting it done. This is doing the tasks and seeing that they're implemented. There are 3 layers of management that we deal with in this book. One is top management, and those are your executive officers, presidents, vice presidents, general managers. Board of directors also would be thrown into that. Middle management are your functional managers, your product line managers, and your department managers. And finally, you get down to first line managers, which are your supervisors, unit managers, team leaders, people who are directing employees with the task to accomplish that strategic plan. And it's called operational planning. Question, true or false? A mission statement provides a source of what a company hopes to become. Now, to get all planning going correctly, you must have goals, and I believe the book brings up 2 of them. One of them is called SMART goals, which means goals must be specific. You have to be able to measure them. They have to be attainable. They have to be results-oriented, otherwise you can't measure them. And they need target dates or a timeline. And this is pretty well basic goal setting. You'll find this anywhere. You probably even do this for yourself, your own goal planning. You're not going to make a goal that you know you cannot possibly reach. The other way that we look at goals is, it's called manage by objectives, and this is a 4-step process. Managers, employees jointly set the objectives for the employee. The managers develop an action plan, and then managers and employees periodically review the employee's performance to see if they've met that. And then there's an appraisal made and rewards or revision of the goals for the employee. And there are 3 objectives looked at. Improvement objectives, personal development objectives, and maintenance objectives. This, I believe, is still being used somewhat. It's becoming old school. So just be aware of it, and I'm quite sure that you will run across it. We will deal a little bit more with this in a future chapter. And a question. True or false? MBO stands for Management by Objectives. And finally, okay, we have the plan, We have the goals. We have a vision. We're ready to go. So the planning cycle involves 2 planning stages. You make the plan, and then you carry out the plan. There are 2 control steps attached to that, and we call this a feedback loop. You control, the direction to compare the results to the plan, and then you make modifications or deviate from it or improve it for the future plans, and then you start all over again. So, and I think that's a typical planning cycle. You make the plan, you implement the plan, you control it, and then you do feedback to improve the plan or to ensure the plan's success, and then you start all over again. Question. Middle managers, and this is true or false, we'll start all over again. Middle managers are responsible for developing a vision statement. See you in class.